Welcome, fellow travelers, to the season 2 review episode. Ned, here we are.
We did it, Joe.
We did it. It's me, Russell. That's right. I'm your mama. And what?
Get out of town.
I'm everybody's mama.
You're everybody's Rusty T.
Your daddy that you love.
It's DJ Netty P, the old daddy.
DJ Netty P.
The old daddy, Netty P.
We're your traveling parents.
I'm your mama. We'll hold your hand on the journey.
Anyways, y'all, welcome. Man, we freaking did it, Ned. Whole season down, another season gone.
Let's get this explicit early. We fucking did it.
Yeah, we did that thing. What Ned just said.
I'm sorry for all the children listeners, but we've been explicit. We might as well own it.
Yeah, our demographic is 6 to 8 year olds. It's cool.
So what is this? So says our Podbean account,
Yeah.
Oh Lord, have mercy.
No, it's not. We got a great demographic. It's almost exactly what we thought it would be based off of. I mean, the first 2 seasons, dude. Like, we're about to hit 25,000 downloads. Y'all are along with us. We're almost to 1K on Instagram. Like, some pretty cool things on the metrics world. I'm just excited all around, though. I know so many listeners have mentioned that season 3 is going to get real good, and they just can't wait for my mind to be blown on this and that. And
yeah,
I've been dodging spoilers as much as I can.
Yeah,
dude, dodge, dip, dive, duck, dodge.
You're in the hard part of this. I mean, like, trying to promote on social media and share and engage with an audience on social media, because the end of season 2, like, we've pretty much gotten into some of the canon, pretty much all of, like, the canon characters, give or take. Especially we get introduced to Susan Strong, and a lot of the PB development, a lot of the Marcy development, a lot of the BMO development. Starting to see a lot of Finn's characteristics break out. And so it's hard, I feel like, for us to talk about that and share it on Instagram without an audience coming back in and trying to spoil future things, because they're like, dude, you guys aren't talking about this crazy part of the show. And it's just like, yeah, we're not, because Russell doesn't know about that part of the show yet. We can't talk about that yet. If there was ever something that you felt like we needed to talk about in an episode, like, okay, this is way too obvious, people are going to be asking about this, I can always step out or something. And we've done that before in the past. It really doesn't bother me at all. If you're like, I just don't want to pull
listeners.
I just don't want to pull out that Candyland card that's like skip to the very end of the Candyland and like skip the game. We're playing the game.
That's fine.
Our community, because I love the feedback. I love seeing y'all essentially, like, again, adventure with us and pull out things from the show that you see. Send it to us, comment to us, and say, oh, you guys, why didn't you talk about this? Or we should talk about this, or this made me realize this about this later season. And that's also what we're trying to do. So from my perspective, I'm trying to get you guys engaged with my theoretically speakings, my deep thoughts, and be like, hey, maybe let me, pin this or rethink about this thing that happened in season 7 with the connection of something that happened in season 2,
Yeah. Well, if y'all were wondering what we were going to do today, this is essentially a celebration of season 2, a celebration of Adventure Time, just like we did at the season 1 review. I think the season 1 review was one of my favorite episodes we did. I think it was really fun to reflect. Ned, I binge watched this entire damn season this week again.
That's impressive, man.
Yeah, and I watched some of the episodes more than once just because I was like, oh, this is important. I want to get into this. And to be entirely honest, I don't know how deep into the weeds we'll get with each of these episodes. We've got a couple of top lists that we're going to talk about, but let's just get pretty right in. Ned, you had mentioned that you wanted me to talk about what I think is going to be happening in season 3.
Pretty much just kind of getting to the end of this season, and we see some growth. We see a little bit of continuity begin to happen, and I would call it maybe this episode's theoretically speaking, but like, what are you expecting to see out of season 3?
Theoretically speaking. What I want to see out of season 3, I've noticed that this world is very full already. We've been around we've been around the Candy Kingdom. We've had almost every episode, so many characters just popping up and like being introduced to so many different random people. I want to get into the stories and the adventures with these characters. I'm ready for us to take a break from just introducing new random characters, and like I want to dive deeper in with all of them, and I want to live in Adventure Time a little bit. I don't feel like we're really living in and developing the world yet. I think it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit of like, here's a new spot, but like let's further develop those spots. You know, season 1 and season 2 added so much, and I just want to settle in. Let's
Yeah.
get along for the ride. You know,
Well, I think remember we started this season off with episode 2 or episode 3 was the eyes, and I told you that was one of my favorite episodes of all time.
most quotable episode
Most
for you.
quotable, one of my favorites, one of the ones that always like sticks in my mind. And I think, you were like, it's cool, it's not an adventure, it's not my favorite. But then what you just said now is kind of like, that's kind of why I like these treehouse episodes, is that it gives you one solid state of a setting that you're familiar with, and then you get familiarized with a lot of different settings. So like you'll get familiarized when there's a Candy Kingdom episode, when there is a treehouse episode. I'm trying to think of other consistencies here with like other episodes, but I mean, really, it's Candy Kingdom and Treehouse is the most consistent.
Yeah.
And you're starting to get a desire for that. You're like, I want more stories of the characters, not just like, let's do something new every episode.
We'll get into our top episodes in a minute, but I just a little, I don't know, spoiler for when we do that. The eyes did not make my top 5.
I knew it wouldn't.
Dude,
knew
it was close. It's 6.
Okay,
It's
okay,
number
that's
6. I
good. That's good to
really
hear.
liked that episode,
That's
but
good to
it
hear.
didn't make it. On the second watch, we'll talk about it later. I liked it a lot more on the second watch, but
That's good.
we asked some of you guys on and gals and peeps that what do y'all want us to talk about during the season 2 review? And one thing I thought was really interesting, someone said they wanted to talk about the development of some of these characters that we've already had, especially in regards to Princess Bubblegum. I've got my thoughts on that. Ned, what do you think about PB specifically?
No. You started off. I want to hear
right.
hear your thoughts first, and I want to see if they align with, because I know too much, so I don't want to just like jump in with PB development, and I need to hear it a little bit more organically coming from you.
All right. Well, here's what I'll say. I think we have a new dimension this season to Princess Bubblegum. I think the first season, like she's often plotting or even maniacal in some ways, but this season, I think they showed us that she can also hang out. She can go on a date, or she could go to the movies in sweats, or watch a movie with friends, in sweats. And there's a goofy side to her that we were introduced to. And then I have a little quote just to prove this. A blue, blue, blue. I love that. I love that we got to see this other side of Princess Bubblegum when, after the first season, me and you were like, man, freaking fascist ruler of the Candy Kingdom, blah, blah, blah. And we also got to see a little bit of PB and Marceline, like having some sort of a weird history or a weird tension between them, where Marceline calls her Bonnabelle. And there's all these other little aspects. But I liked humanizing Princess Bubblegum a little bit in the season. I think is the new development, the new dimension that we got for her.
Yeah, and I figured you were going to say that, because I know in previous episodes you had mentioned, like she's wearing a t-shirt, at the science barbecue, and she's wearing sweatpants at Finn's movie party, and
she was a sexy character this episode. She was for me.
Every time it happened, you are in like Finn's shoes. I feel like as the show's developing,
she's not a lovely. Hey, she's not a lovely. I didn't go that far. Come on.
No, she's not a lovely, but she can be a sexy character. But it's that mentality where I think the writers of the show did a real good job of, whenever, I feel like we started having crushes in middle school. Let's talk about like Finn's age in middle school. Like I myself, every time I got to see more of the real side of a girl, like not just like she's like a crush that's like sitting up on a pedestal, but like we can hang. She not always that she's a bro, but like, oh my gosh, like I think she's cute just wearing gym clothes or in her like sports outfit or in her school dress code uniform, not just all dressed up like Princess Bubblegum in a freaking princess gown. And I think they do that purposefully to get to Finn of he's seeing her more as a peer and not as a princess, you know?
Interesting. Yeah, I guess so. I'll say my one issue with PB this season was I believe it's the Real You episode when she kisses Finn at the end and says that she likes him. There was that
Uh,
one moment that almost ruins it for me, but
yeah,
I
but
don't
we've
know.
already talked to so much about how she's flirty and all that stuff. I had some other things about her and
Yeah,
seeing
please.
a little bit more of her dark side in this season that she becomes more real and like she becomes, like you just said, like we see some new clothes, we see her being cool, kind of cool and closer to Finn. But then we get introduced to newer and more aspects of the Candy Kingdom. She's sipping on a sentient soda. She is she let the tart toter go mad. And she's not helping him, you know. She's also sending Finn and Jake off to go die to tote the tarts to this ceremony. And I feel like there's just a lot of little very, very minute things in this season where you can see that she's this sweet person, but the way she's running things, there's a lot of life and death situations and or like, I don't know, it's a kind of
Well, she's
this
certainly still that ruler. She's still kind of the person pulling the strings in the Candy Kingdom,
exactly, exactly.
but we knew that. I think we already kind of knew that about her. I will say, like I admit, yeah, there are definitely some things where it's like, yeah, she's being extra shady in a couple of these episodes. But
But that's why you're getting finned out. I think that you're getting finned out because you're like, yeah, she's still evil, but like, man, isn't she a lot cooler? Isn't
I
she a
just see
lot
the good in
sexier?
people, Ned. Come on, let me see the good in
The
people.
good in people that you just described to me was that she can still hang, but does that
Yeah,
mean that
she's a
she's
bro.
still like masking the fact that like she's probably doing some very, you know, questionable things, but like the more she hangs, the more you're just like, like we'll just like
Look,
sweep those
I
things under the
haven't
rug.
forgiven her. She's not my lovely. I'm just saying we saw another side to her that they hadn't developed yet, and I think they did a good job with that.
Yes. Okay.
That's all I'm getting at.
And they will continue. And honestly, in this season, I'm ripping on her because it does get better. She does have moments later on where she questions whether or not she's doing the right thing. So there is still a moral conscience there. They just aren't going into that storyline in this season.
Well, you know who ain't gonna get better?
Who is not going to get better?
My most punchable character for this season.
Oh, I want to hear this one because I had several, but I want to see how ours line up.
I just wonder if you could even guess. I'll just to be entirely honest,
I
it almost
think
doesn't feel right. Like I feel bad for saying this because I just have a really, really gross taste in my mouth, Ned.
I feel like I know what you're gonna say because we talked about it. Because I like went through in my mind everything we talked about this season. I think you're gonna say Party Pat.
No,
Um, I think
dude,
if it's not Party Pat, then it might be Sir Slicer.
it's Ice King
Ice King's most punchable for the whole season.
for the whole season. Because Mortal Folly just effed me up.
Oh, you just finished the season off on a bad note.
Like I said, I have a really bad taste in my mouth.
Mm.
It's almost as if, it's just so gross. Dude, the last episode, everything he did, just all of it. I mean, go listen to that. I dove deeper into it. I didn't really write a lot of notes because I didn't want to just replenish or like re-say everything I
Yeah,
said
we don't
in
want to
that episode.
re-podcast things or anything. That's
Exactly.
interesting to me, though. I mean, I know he's your most punchable, and yeah, he does a lot of things that are kind of like douchey or dicky in this season. But I don't know. I kind of thought in this season in general, we get some more humanization of Ice King, even though he's not perfect. He is not as much of an antagonist as season one, and
Yeah. I mean,
with
like we said, in the
yeah.
eyes, I was watching you guys. I wanted to learn how to be happy.
Yeah,
You
and you
know,
can't
like
like hate him for that. You know, you can punch him for that, but you can't hate him for that. And I guess why this segment's called most punchable, not most hateable. You know.
no, he's not. He was not math in that episode, and I had to create a whole segment for why he bothered me so much because of
Yeah.
that one episode.
Okay.
It's not a reflection of the whole season, though. I know it's supposed to be, but because of that, the Ice King, he's just got even further to go for me before he's like really redeemed or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, you're gonna get a little hate from some longtime fans for that, but
Yo, bring it on.
I can give you some of my I can give my most punchable first, and then it's some runner ups here.
Okay.
I think after looking back at all the episodes, honestly, my most punchable was the Tree Witch that sucked Jake into the bottomless
Fair.
bottom.
Totally fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that she was the least redeemable. Just like I would go back and punch her over and over again. No redeeming qualities there.
To cut a woman's hair.
Yeah,
Solid episode.
We really only cut Finn's hair in that episode, which is really funny.
We did.
I was like, to cut Finn's hair.
Which, what a great reveal. I mean, if we had top reveals, that had to be up there.
It took that long for them in the show to take Finn's hat off and like to have that epic of a reveal. That's in my tops of this season too, I think, is like the Finn hair reveal was pretty freaking awesome.
That's cool, man.
I would say runner-up punchables, though, Marcy's ghost friends, Sir Slicer, Zergiak, Hudson Abadir, and then my most...
Hudson Abadir, really?
Yeah, I mean, he's I like him, but like, again, that's my Ice King mentality. It's just like, he's super punchable in that episode.
Wow,
he got redeemed.
I love that episode.
No, I love the episode.
I think he was great in it. I thought it was super fascinating. That's why I opened up with I'm Your Mama, because of him.
I'm Your Mama. But also, I mean, the other one I think you'll disagree with me on is I think Bob and Ethel are super punchable.
No, I don't really disagree.
Okay,
Bob, at least. Yeah, Bob seems borderline, punching bag.
Yeah.
For me.
I mean, they were such like they were like, yeah, humans are slaves and like we can eat you and mistreat you. I was like, dude, I don't even care if you have a redeeming quality at the end. Like, you treated Finn so poorly.
Yeah, they're just pumped.
They just get under my skin, man.
It was nice that they weren't entirely racist against dogs. That was a nice reveal, but at the same time, it wasn't redeeming.
Yeah, they were like, we don't hate dogs, but I was like, you totally just were gonna eat this human and you abused him and all this
well,
stuff.
There aren't a lot of humans. I mean, you gotta take the chance when you got it,
Yeah, well, how many humans have they freaking eaten? Like, real humans none. Have they eaten?
They've never had human before. That's why they wanted to.
They don't say they've never had humans. They say there's no more humans around, so they eat soy people. I think
Ethel said that she had never tasted human before.
Oh,
and they had only had the
had soy people.
Only had soy people.
But again, I give that to there is sentient soy people out there. Again, speak to our original theoretically speaking. That there is sentient soy people that quote unquote taste like humans.
Man, you're kind of touching though a little bit of something that I think this season. I don't know if we're going a little aside here, but something I think the season did really well was helping to develop the lore of Ooh.
I was going to say, I literally had this like highlighted for the whole season, was that season 1 is just introduction after introduction and you don't feel like you start to love the show. And literally we kick off this season with It Came from the Nightosphere, the return of Marceline in another episode, giving a character a backstory. We give Marceline a backstory of she's got a weird relationship with her dad. Her dad's a demon. She came from the Nightosphere. And really that episode actually was nominated in 2011 for an outstanding short format animated program at the Emmys.
Wow.
So
deservedly so, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is for sure. I mean, from reviews, from our review, from other sources, it's a great episode of a 11-minute cartoon show. And
Totally.
and it starts that season out with the taste in your mouth that we are building the lore and we are building a universe,
Yeah, I mean, I got a little just random list of things that we learned and we met in this season. We got Hudson Abadir, we got the Lich,
Hmm.
Death in the Underworld. We
Hmm.
further entered into the Crystal Kingdom, and we learned about the Rainicorn Dog Wars that occurred there. We met Susan Strawn, the other human. The Party God was a part of this, which apparently is a reoccurring character, which blows my
Hmm.
mind. We had an addition for Billy with the Gauntlet, and then Royal Tart Toters and this annual like tart eating thing that they do every year. Like, there's so many things that happen with the lore of Ooh in this season that episode one kind of either set up for or introduced and just kind of ignored.
Yeah. No, I think you're completely right though. Like
Yeah.
that is why seasons do like what seasons do. Season 2 can stand on its own. And every season will have an up and a down, or a they hit the mark and they missed the mark of every season. And season
Yeah,
2 is
totally.
really great because they come off of season 1, which I love every season. I'm not going to hate on any season, but
Well, you can.
the
All right
flow
to
of
hate on a
this
season.
one, I think we had a really fun time in season 1, just having fun times. In season 2, pretty much every episode we get to talk about, now we're like, okay, we're seeing repeat characters, we're seeing repeat uh environments, we're seeing repeat kingdoms, we're seeing repeat Finn tropes, and dealing with different or similar, I should say, situations.
I still don't think
So
it did quite as much of that as I wanted. I do think there were a lot of episodes that were like, here's new stuff, like, overboard, which is why I was saying in my theoretically speaking or whatever you want to call it, that I do want to further develop this world even more and settle in a little bit. But to what you're saying, we also got some character lore. We got to see Bimo become a roommate and meet
mhm.
his goofy and sassy, like, I don't like everything about him is just so ridiculous. Like, his personality is just so wonderful.
Yeah,
And
I
BB and
had
Marceline had a history that was hinted at. And Jake's powers, we got to see his limit and the limit, and to cut a woman's hair when he's getting soaked up by your most punchable character's butthole.
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
they did a good job, I think, with this season, in terms of developing. Finn and Jake were really still a core of every episode in this season, and they got to flirt out other aspects of other characters. And
And
I would
LSP's in the woods.
LSP's
Like,
in the wood again, yeah, like flirting out like more and more lore
yeah,
of other
totally forgot about
characters.
that.
Now it takes until, and I actually read a review about season 4, and they actually there were some complaints about season 4, because they say season 4 really it focuses so much on other characters, and Finn and Jake play background characters in season 4, and also it gets a little bit too serious or so random. Like there's a whole tree trunks episode in episode 4 where like Finn and Jake like aren't even in it. They start doing that, and they build the lore so much to where I appreciate that, but then other people are like, okay, but we need to get back to the core humor and the core characters. And that's what I'm most excited about for season 3, is that things do get more Lori serious. It's all about Finn and Jake. There's more development. There's more serious moments, but they don't lose the core Adventure Time humor in season 3.
That's good. Man.
So
Well, I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be a good season. Just everyone seems to say season 3 is it. Like, strap in, put your
yeah.
seatbelts on, and I'm as prepared for it as I can be. I think.
Yeah, it starts slow coming off of the Lich and coming off of like Mortal Folly. It starts a little slower than you expect, and then ends so strong. Like
Okay. Cool.
literally one of my favorite like transition episodes happens at the end of season 3.
Nice.
So
Well, then,
we
dude,
didn't talk about now we talked about PB, we talked a little bit about BMO for characters. How do you feel about Finn and Jake in this season? Like what's going on with them? Like how like do you feel it's much change, no change? Like
dude, I don't really have a lot of notes on Finn or Jake this season. To be entirely honest, they are a little different. Finn's a little bit older. The things that we've talked about this season feel slightly more mature, but only by a margin, as it is only a year older, a season later.
Yeah.
Jake sort of had some developments, but he's kind of the same Jake where he's helping out where he needs to help out, and he's kind of lazy when he wants to be lazy. Did
No,
you
but
did you have a lot of notes? Did you have thoughts?
I didn't have a lot of notes. I just had some high level important notes. I feel
Okay,
like that
yeah.
were important
Let's
to
hit it.
run over through the season. Is that I'll start with Jake. I feel like Jake, you start to see, I mean, we've seen some rougher side of Jake, but we constantly talked about we created a segment in this whole season called Jake Mistakes. Like
That is a season 2 segment. Wow.
that is the
Yeah.
season 2 segment, and that we start to see that he is an OP, awesome character, so great, like completely lovable, but he's not always doing the most. And I think this episode or this season, you can really see it's not just with his like stretchy powers, but it's with his mentality. Like I got really weirded out with like kind of him leading Finn into like, you should be this like womanizer this season. Like, here's the way to talk to ladies. And I'm like, you're teaching a 12-year-old not good lessons about this. So I don't know. I mean, that's his development as kind of the mentor-esque, leader, but a not perfect mentor. And I think that's
Okay.
really realistic. I'm not hating on that, but that's the development I see is that he considers himself a mentor, considers himself somebody who's watching after Finn, but also seeing his imperfections is a big development. And then with Finn, a lot more than season one. And I think because we've been talking about this season for 27 weeks, like we don't realize we hop from season one and there's more episodes where he's just a little bit more torn about situations that are emotionally driven and not just adventure driven. So like think about the episode where he wants to become smart for Princess Bubblegum, and think about the episode where he like is torn about telling Jake to stop stretching. And that's the only thing that Finn really does in that episode is just like supports Jake, and Jake's doing all the work. And you see just more him in his journey is going through emotional, like, what should I do? Not like punch the character or kill the bad guy. Like, what should I do in terms of like telling somebody I love to stop doing something or preventing myself from doing something that could hurt somebody else? He starts to notice those moments in this season. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah. That must be, I mean, I agree. There are episodes where he is like the silent king, where Finn is
Mhm.
very much of the I'm a fight mentality, fight first, ask questions later. But I agree. I mean, I think I'm glad we have your perspective on this because, in my opinion, I just kind of glanced over Finn and Jake in this season. I mean, they were great season for them, but I didn't really notice too much development personally.
I guess if
Though,
you
I mean,
would
for what it's worth, Finn is sort of my lovely of the entire season.
really, okay. No,
Well,
no, I agree. I tried to lean away from that just because it's an obvious answer. He's awesome in
well,
the season.
to be more specific, Jeremy Shada is my lovely of this season.
Give me some sugar, baby.
Okay.
The
Uh-oh.
voice actor for Finn. And I don't know if that's even acceptable, and I might get hate for that. But I looked into it a little bit, and I know you've told me, and we've probably talked about this in the past, but he was really young when this season came out, like very much like almost Finn's age, or maybe he was even Finn's age. I'm not
Yeah, I
really
think
sure.
it was pretty darn close, I know, at this point.
But some of the voice acting he was doing and that he did at that age is really quite impressive. Especially, I just was listening through Party Animal, and the dynamics of that episode alone are wild. And I'm like,
Yeah.
man, he's like a mature professional voice
Well, he's
actor
sitting in a
for
sound
that
studio
young.
screaming his voice out, like doing these high-pitched screams and like putting it, balls to the wall with it,
But he's got the emotion. It was just such a good season as far as, in my opinion, for the voice acting. And
Yeah.
that's why Jeremy Shada is my lovely for season
Oh,
2.
I love it. That's great, man. I was actually we'll see if he actually listens to this episode, but I was supposed to get dinner with him like last Friday.
Oh no, what?
Yeah, I was. Well, we have a friend of my wife, and she knows him from his music career and called us up like last minute. And we were like, my wife was busy, couldn't answer the phone. And she was like, we're going to dinner like right now. Let's go. We're going with Jeremy and his wife. And it wasn't until the next morning my wife got the voicemail and was like,
No.
oh, no. Yeah. So,
what? Dude.
Yeah. But Jeremy, if you're listening to this episode, we would love to hang out with you. We're down. I'm down in Atlanta. Russell's up in Nashville. I know you're traveling all the time. But yeah, we want to talk about Adventure Time because we talk about you, and here's what we think Jeremy would say. And we'd love to hear what you actually say.
Well, Jeremy at the age of 13 or 12 or something like that was my lovely. And that's
may be a creepy way to phrase that.
Yeah, it's a weird way to put it that way.
I don't know, man. My lovely of the season. Oof. I'm gonna let you guess this one. I want you to guess my lovely of the season.
BMO.
Yes, you got it. You know me.
Yeah. He's my top.
Oh, BMO's
my tops.
Yeah, dude, they just do such. They I feel like the writers brought BMO out of nowhere. They just had like a little computer sentient person. But this season they develop him into a true, like, all of a sudden he's got a voice line or two in the third or fourth episode of the season, and then they're like, then he's playing a main role, and then they're going inside BMO, and it's just like kind of this development of this such an innocent, flawless character, and I love it. And so that's, but yeah, BMO is my ultimate lovely, and I love that you guessed it too.
He might be my favorite character of the whole season. I almost gave him my lovely, but I felt like voice acting for Finn deserved it. But he's great, man. I was so excited. And I think every time I see him, every time he's involved, I like the episode that much more because of BMO's character. Just look at the breakfast scene from her parents. It's the best part of that whole episode. Obviously it's beautifully
when the
drawn.
lights coming through the window, the light.
But he's just being silly, and the artwork is great. And yeah, man, he's fantastic for sure.
I think in season 3 we get the episode BMO Noir, which is a full BMO focused episode, and it's so good. I hated it for years until I really started to get what they were doing with BMO, and then it made sense. And the whole episode's hilarious.
I think even like Video Maker is really not one of my favorite episodes from this season, but BMO helps it be just a little bit better. Like it would probably be my episode I would skip without him.
Without BMO, it'd be the worst episode.
Yeah. And what is your worst episode of this season?
I mean, it's got to be Slow Love.
Yeah.
Like the whole snail. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't fit in the season.
Slow Love and the pods are my two.
Yeah, the pods I think I just like because of the piggies, but honestly, I did like the pods episode more this season because we did a really good podcast about it. We had really good conversation about it. I didn't think we would, but we actually did. Yeah. So I enjoyed it a little bit more just because of us.
We did, but at the same time, I didn't even watch it. I binged the whole season, but I skipped Slow Love and the pods.
I know what I need to know from this episode.
But, yeah, I knew I wouldn't be talking about them.
The little mushroom penis people, the whole thing.
Yeah, I got it. And it's one, too, where for whatever reason, I think I just didn't have anything I wanted to say about it before we did the podcast. So I watched it so many times that I just know that episode like the back of my hand. I'm like, I'm good. I'm not going to watch that again.
Yeah, those are top 2 worst for sure of the season. It's Slow Love for me. It's more just because it's like they're helping him for no reason. He destroys their house where they're like, we're going to help you. He doesn't appreciate it. It's gross. The ending is not very even satisfying, and it's got a weird. It's like a road bump in a season. I feel like.
Totally agree. A little round circle though. To earlier, you were asking about Jake and Finn and what you think about their development. And Finn was kind of sort of technically my lovely. Jake is kind of sort of technically my sexy character of the season.
Oh, really? Wait, what's your specific reasons why?
The armor of Zeldron is the reason why.
With the boobies.
No, it's not about the boobies. She's got legs. She knows how to use them.
Is muscular. That is so surprising to me, though, that you would put. I get it. I get it now that you say it, because that was so
legs,
early
dude.
on. She got legs. He pulls it off. He's trying to be sexy in the armor too, so that makes sense.
Well, it's just that the freaking. It's almost jokingly in a way, but it's just the artist just had to make his legs like, again, that Patrick Star from the SpongeBob movie. Weirdly big and muscular and sexy, like shapely.
With the fishnet on it in SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, so that's my sexy character of the season is Jake and Armory's Aldron.
I'm pulling a Russell, though. I'm calling Marcy as sexiest character this season. I'm pulling it. You know, I tried to avoid it every episode. You know, I must say, and I was like, yeah, it's obvious. But like for the season, and I think it's because, well, one, we get like multiple Marcy outfits, like the cool, like she becomes a little bit more like.
Ned, is it the Skrillex Marceline? Is that really what you're getting
not
at?
Skrillex Marceline. Actually, it is one of what is it? Heat Signature outfit, and it's a little bit more like ripped jeans, plaid shirt, grungy Marcy, and that's cool, man. And you get to see her. She's not just a vampire witch in crazy clothes, and she's not just a Skrillex demon, but you see all the aspects of it, and then you see, I think, why she really takes it home as a sexy character this season is that she's independent, she's badass, but she's got this soft side for the people that she loves. And it comes through that she is not afraid to shed her skin and go to movie night with all of people that, you know, I assumed if she ran with this ghost gang in the past, and we know that she was this adventurer, that she still shows up to movie night with Tree Trunks and PB and Finn and Jake, and she freaking loves it, that she has this soft human, non-vampire, non-1,000-year-old side where she just wants relationship with people. And I think that's so cool, and it makes her much more of a sexy character this season than last season.
The development we see of her and Heat Signature alone almost should have made the fact that that's not in my top 10 episodes. I'm kind of regretting that a little bit, because we did get to see her pushing her old friends away and going, these are my new friends, and they're cool in their own way.
If Heat Signature had been like 4th episode of the season, it's an easy, not top 5, I wouldn't call it top 5. It's an easy, better episode. But the fact you come off of Mortal Recoil to Heat Signature, you're just not ready for Marceline. You're like, I just came off the Lich. I don't need like Marceline development right now. I need to like take a break and go to the next season, you know?
Yeah. Well, Ned, I want to get into one of the lists that we both have.
Let's get it.
This segment's going to be called Everything Brainless Likes Music, as we learned from, I think that's a Finn quote from this season, if I'm not mistaken. So what is your least favorite, or I guess it's not least favorite because these are all your favorite. What is your number 5 song? You said you had 5 of them.
Yeah, I got top 5. My runner-up, so I can start with 6. Runner-up is Finn's Jingle Bell Death Battle song, where he's just, yeah, and then Death's like brr, 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 on the double bass. That's a runner-up, because I just always laugh.
I left it off my list. I agree, though, yeah.
It's laughable. Number 5, which I think is lower than most people's, is in the BMO Guardians of Sunshine episode. We are in a computer world, not computer boys, but computer, or not computer girls, but computer boys. I'm mixing up
a podcast. Man. I loved my remake of that.
Oh, it's so good. That's a great song.
Yeah.
Number
Welcome
4,
to NEA.
Again, maybe we are doing a sexy podcast.
Yeah.
Number 4, again, maybe a little bit lower on the list than expected, but my hot dog's dead. My pizza's dead.
Damn it, dude. I forgot about that song.
No, it was one of the best ones. That's so good. The sad country.
Can I edit my list?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Can I edit my list?
Yeah.
Okay.
Edit your list.
That's number 2 for me then. That's the second best song.
Oh, that's bumping it up. Man.
Unless
Wow.
you come up with another song that I totally forgot about, that's the number 2
Well,
song for
my
me.
number 3 might be one you totally forgot about because it's very subtle, but
don't
it's
think so.
because it's a semi-tops and it's something I always remember. It's when it's in Power Animal when Jake dances with the
Oh.
ladybug and it's the boom, da, boom, boom, dum, boom, dum, boom, da, boom, boom,
I
dancing with the
didn't
ladybug song.
I don't believe in electronic music, so that's not even a song in my
That doesn't
opinion.
even count in your book. I'd say number two behind Dancing Bug Song.
Okay. Well,
No,
my number 3 is the Condiment Rainbow song, the transition song for them to become fake rainicorns.
That is a good number. I forgot about the I only remember the Bob and Ethel singing song, but I forgot about the transition song.
Well, that's a fun one too, but that's the transition song was great, and also the colorfulness of it all, and then the reveal that they didn't pull it off at all. Number 2 for me was, before I adjusted my list, Susan Strong's song.
Mm-hmm. That's my number 2.
It would have been
Susan
higher,
Strong song.
but Finn with the "You Turn My Heart On" at the end just gives me little icky vibes. So it's not.
But that was
all
the
way
only
up.
reason that didn't stay your number 1.
No, it's the only reason that it's behind the one you mentioned earlier that I moved up to 2. The "My Hot Dog's Dead," that song.
Yeah, okay. I got you.
Do we have the same number 1? It sounds like we do.
You have to have the same number 1 for this season. It's Why Did You Eat My Fries?
Yeah, Fries. Marceline's song about her dad.
If you didn't pick Daddy, Why Did You Eat My Fries? Like, you're not an Adventure Time fan if that doesn't just get you at your heartstrings.
I totally agree. And this has been Everything Brainless Likes Music.
Yeah. Me and Russell suck.
Yeah, we're brainless. Why? And so are y'all, because y'all listen to our dumb podcast.
Suck it, travelers.
No. Well, let's get into another fun list before we do our top episodes, because I think that's going to be the climactic.
Yeah, we can kick it off. Yeah, we finish it off with top episodes.
I've got top 10 totally math items/powers that most likely will not be ever seen again. There's one or two that we'll probably be seeing again, such as number 10, which I feel, and my notable one, which the notable one was the Ancient Second-Tandem War Elephant. The reason it's not really on the top 10 list, and I had to express this to Allie because she's like, "You're crazy. That should be way up there."
I agree with Allie. I feel like it's crazy that it's not on the top of any list. That was my number 2 tops of the season, was Ancient Second-Tandem War Elephant.
It's a pet. It's a familiar. It is not an item or a power, and therefore does not qualify for my list.
Okay. I give you that. Well, and our lists are different here, so I give you that.
Yeah, you can ride it, but you're not equipping it. Essentially, is what I'm saying. Number 10 is Finn's hair. You can cut it off, and it can be equipped. Therefore, Finn's hair is an item that is on my list.
I love
Number 9.
Well, long-haired Finn was one of my sexiest of the season.
Oh, he's
for
good.
sure.
Honestly, he probably should have been the sexiest character of that.
Yeah, if it wasn't Marcy, it was a tie between Party Pat and Finn.
Party Pat.
Finn. I thought Party Pat was a sexy character. I did.
You're weird, dude.
You thought he was punchable. I thought it was sexy.
Sorry. I'm yucking your yums. That's not okay. Well, you yucked my yums a couple episodes ago.
You always say we don't yuck each other's yums, yet we always yuck each other's yums. So
I feel like you're just yucking my yums, bro.
I just feel like you're yumming your yums.
All right. Well, for everybody here, number 9, loot suit is the number 9 item for me.
Yes, I love it. I love that because it does appear twice in this season.
Oh, yeah. So this is where it gets tricky because there are some damn good items that we're about to get into. Number 8, the Glasses of Nerdicon.
I'm surprised you didn't have it higher up, but okay.
I agree. There's too many good items. Number 7, Armor of Zeldron. Jake flies through a mountaintop. Yep. He has the armor equipped. He flies through mountains.
I just hate that it doesn't ever reappear. That is a bummer. Big bummer.
That's this list for you. Number 6, the Billy Gauntlet. Pretty rad item.
Gets destroyed though. That's
does
pretty easily.
But it was pretty rad. It's like an Iron Man.
It's a number
gauntlet.
6. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 5, Beamo Troning people. I don't know if we'll see that again, but that was such a cool power that we got to experience in this season.
We had a very OP segment about BMO-troning people and saying that's something that you could overlook if you don't think about it too long.
Number 4, ninja ice powers. Number 3, Lich's body transferability. I think that's pretty rad. That's a really cool power. It'll probably come back. I mean, it's got to come back because he's not going to be the snail forever.
Yeah, it does. It does come back into a degree, but I just don't think it's cool. I think it's just pretty pretty lichy. It's pretty just typical evil magic. It's not something unique, you know?
I really liked it. I don't know. Okay. It's number 3 for my list. Number 2, man, the 4th dimensional sword.
Yep.
Is number 2 on my list.
There you go.
How sick is that?
Okay, that in terms of items, for sure, that's the best.
And the number 1, totally math, item and power, most likely never to be seen again, is the power of liking someone a lot.
Oh, you just put that. You put that top of the list to be cool. You put that top of the list to be Harry Potter. That's so Harry Potter.
Well, Ned, I want to ask you, of those items or of all the items that we saw in this season, which would you keep? What are you keeping? Because I'm keeping the ability to Tron people. That's what I want.
I don't know. I did think that was something that made BMO OP. That I literally, until we started doing this podcast, I never thought about that ability until we actually sat down and BMO pulls out physical beings from himself. That's kind of crazy.
To be fair, the cheat code probably could have been on this list too. I just didn't even really think about the cheat code.
No, that's not an item. That's did you say
it's
items
power.
Or
items
abilities?
Or powers.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, honestly, mine would be 4th dimensional sword. I would say tops is the glasses that make you know everything.
Yeah,
Choose
but they
Goose
got that
is a sketchy ass character.
And there's a flaw to him where it takes over you and all that, you know.
Yeah, Choose Goose I feel like is kind of like maybe the genie, you know, can give you everything that you wish for, but there's a little bit of a downside side effect or anything like that. You know, so I would say that it's a 4th dimensional sword. Geez, man, I'm trying to think of other OP items.
It's all good.
I do love ancient psychic tandem war elephant.
Yeah, fantastic.
Just because I know he comes back, and awesome. I know an episode where he's featured. I love that it. I mean, it doesn't come back to season 5 or 6, at least. And I love that it's from season 2. So I can't overlook that myself just because I know the future of what's going to happen.
I probably could have added my favorite line of the whole season, or what I think might be my favorite line to the powers. We're going to have
to compare them because I have one that literally me and my wife and my friend. It's not going to be the same.
No, yours is Pooh Brain, I'm sure.
No, it's not Pooh Brain. That's my second. That's my number 2 line.
Okay. Mine's just Kiss of Death, baby.
Oh, that's definitely in my top 5 though.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah. But
mine is don't burn it now, Grimby. Hush. I ain't gonna burn it.
Is that really your favorite line?
Literally, that moment in this season is don't burn it now, Grimby. Hush. I ain't gonna burn it.
You're wildin', dude.
I love that. It's just there's something about that scene. It's so freaking random. It's so out of nowhere. His name is Grimby, and I think I will name a pet one day Grimby because
you should.
Absolutely,
get a Grimby tattoo.
I'll get a daggum. I'll get those 3 characters by the fireplace roasting a bean on my leg.
Please don't get that. Now let's do it. Come on, man. Let's get into our top episodes. I'll run through my 10 through 6 because I know we're not doing top 10, but I did anyways.
Yeah, you do your 10. I don't have top 10. I've got top 5. So
if I hit one of your top 5, though, stop me and we'll talk about it.
Okay, I got you.
Number 10, The Limit. You got The Labyrinth, Jake's Limit, also The War Elephant. Great episode.
Number 10?
Dude, It's a
Gosh
freaking
darn.
season, man. We got a good season. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Is that on your top 5?
It's like number 5 for me. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell me why. Why is it number 5?
It's number 5 just because it gets so D&D-esque, and I love, like, it has the montage moments of, like, you just get so many cool little things that the directors, like, put in there, like crossing this little bridge and going through this little tunnel, and there's scorpions and there's giants, and I love that. And it's the same reason why I love Dungeon in season 1 is you get those D&D aspects where we're on a mission. It's point A to point Z, and we're going to do everything in between. So I think that's why the limit was like my number. I had a tie, but
Number
like
5. Yeah.
I've got here. I had so many runner ups, so I'm actually like making my.
Well,
I'm
maybe
adjusting
I
my
might hit
list here.
them in my 10.
So I adjusted my list here because I had 2 runner ups and 2 that were a tie for number 5. So the limit came out at my number 6 at this point.
Okay. Well, I'll say real fast just to that. I feel like there's too big of a pause in the middle of that episode that like an uninterested, like, I guess what you like, I kind of get a little
the montage scene.
Yeah, I kind of get a little bored by it. Number 9, the other tarts. Great quest. Yeah. The old tart toters, wise words of wisdom. But a kind of annoying twist at the end.
No, I agree with that because that was one I was hesitant to not put in my tops because it's such a good episode.
Number 8, Blood Under the Skin.
Oh yeah, my number 7.
Yeah, Sir Slicer. He's kind of creepy, cool armor. You get one of the like more memorable moments or quotes.
They do there's a great the minstrel song in that one is so great. Sir Slicer and like his repeated like sound of when the crows call and he shows up is really hilarious.
And following a kid around, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and there's just a lot that happens in that episode, so it's kind of hard. I mean, it is like every 30 seconds there's a joke, and it's kind of hard not to love those episodes.
Yeah. I got freaking people trying to FaceTime me right now, man. That's ridiculous. Number 7, Go With Me.
Oh,
mostly
wow.
Just Marceline and Princess Bubblegum. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, definitely not in my top 10 for the
Really?
for the season. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a little biased because I know that there's better Marcy and PP episodes to come. So it doesn't really strike home for me in this one.
Okay. Well, I just, it's that first big interaction and it feels meaningful. You get to see the contentment and also like, it's a great episode where Finn kind of discovers, as I mentioned in my theoretically speaking on that episode, a little bit of what he's looking for in a girl. And
a little bit. No, it's an important episode for sure. It's just, I mean, for me, it's just like, it's like it's like the beginning. It's kind of boring because, I've got all the spoilers in my mind,
Yeah. Number 6, The Eyes.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Where's that at for you? I can't remember. We already talked about it though.
I sat for a long time, Russell. I looked at all the episodes and I just thought how they make me feel when I watch them. Not for the lore sake, not for the whole show sake, but for how every episode in this season makes me feel. The Eyes got my number 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Number 1?
It does just because that's the episode I could probably watch over. It's more of a desert island episode. It's not that it's so good in the essence of the whole Adventure Time lore, but it's like a desert island episode. Like my desert island movie is Dazed and Confused. It's not because it's a great movie. It's because I could watch it over and over again. You know what I mean?
I think one of us has poo brain, and I don't know if it's me or if it's you.
No, you can't call my. I gave you my reasoning, and that reasoning
you're fine.
should
You're
make
right.
sense.
You're right.
It should make sense. I gave you my reason.
I'm not crapping on your favorite episode. It's fair.
The eyes, and that's what I'm saying. It's not the best episode in this season for lore or for like character development. It's because 1, I'm a sucker for a good Treehouse episode. 2, it's so quotable. And 3, I could literally like take that episode and be like, if there's 10 Adventure Time episodes you could watch over and over again, it'd be that one.
You know, and maybe should be my number 5. Maybe I should move that up one.
But I'll give it to you for number, like, again,
I think you're right. I think you're right because it is very quotable. I think I don't like creepy things, and so therefore I'm inclined to put it lower. I'm not going to put it much higher. I'm just saying it's better than Susan Strong, which is what I have currently at number 5.
I do think it's there, and that's why I know there are significantly better Susan Strong episodes. They honestly, I mean, this one, when I go back and watch it, it kind of annoys me, but it does make me realize how underdeveloped Susan Strong was before they develop her as a character. So
yeah. Well, let me move that episode down one. It's great. You get to see other humans or a other human. And it was fun to like theoretically speak about, and discuss, but it should be my number 6. The Eye's number 5. Number 4, I'm sure this is on your top 5. The Chamber of Frozen Blades.
Dude, that was my number 4 too. I love it.
Oh,
Chamber of the Frozen Blades, number 4.
Now we're connecting.
For sure.
This podcast is bringing us together.
It's tearing us apart again.
Dude, that is such a fun ninja episode with powers
and the powers. I love that we do spend more time in the Ice King's castle. We get to see, we do understand more about Ice King because of that episode too. That's why, I mean, for sure, my top 5.
Are we lame because we like ninja powers too or whatever that Jake says to Finn? And it's like no. That Finn says to Jake and Jake goes, no, like he hides his ninja. We wear ours on our sleeve.
We wear our ninja on our sleeve.
And then also, like, I don't know. It was a great episode to talk about. You had the rat-data, that whole thing or whatever. I don't know.
No,
very fun. And
it was the first episode.
Gunter.
It's one of the first episodes. I mean, I wouldn't say one of the first, but it's a great episode where we do have an A story and a B story. And there's more episodes that do A story, B story, and both the A and B story in this one are like killer because we get Dr. Princess, we get Gunter having a cat baby, we get Ice King, we get rock people, we get them learning ninja magic power. It's just, there's so much that happens in the episode that, and all of it's golden.
Well, Ned, I specialize in little tuxedo people.
I specialize. All right, I'm gonna guess your number 3 here.
Okay.
Because I know as we're narrowing
it down,
there are
3 big ones. There are 3 big episodes.
I know the Eyes is my number 1, so I know that you've got 3 left, and
so
I think
this will be your number 4. No, this will be your number 3.
This will be my number 3, but I know that at least 2 of our top 3 match. Is number 3?
I'm really shocked. Then one of yours is missing. One of mine.
Yeah, I know it is. Well, I don't have Mortal Recoil at all.
I don't either.
Okay. Do you have number 3 as Death and Bloom?
It is, yeah.
Yes, see, dude, we're vibing. We're vibing right now. Number 3 is my Death and Bloom.
Death and Bloom, fantastic episode.
Great episode.
Dude, Death, the Underworld, Peppermint Butler. What more do you want in an episode?
Again, so much development of lore in that episode because we include Peppermint Butler, because we include Death. All of a sudden, we thought, you thought the Nightosphere was the Underworld.
I did.
In season 1, I had to tell you, or at the beginning of this season, I should say, and I had to tell you that no, this is Nightosphere is not the dead world. Like dead worlds are the dead worlds.
Yeah,
Death is the ruler of the dead, and the Death is like.
I'm still confused by it all, but yeah, definitely.
It's it really honestly doesn't get explained really well until we will finish the show, and you'll be like, well, what the hell? I don't know about these dead worlds. It's the HBO specials give so much explanation to it.
There is also the biggest laugh in the entire season in that episode.
It's the
two heard around the world.
The toot. Literally, that's probably the funniest moment of the season. I would say that is the funniest moment of the season.
It's one of the few moments where I had I do that thing where you rewatch it, and every time it gets a little bit funnier, and I laughed out loud actually while watching it by myself. A lot of times when you're watching by yourself or with other people, even you kind of don't giggle or laugh at all. But that one, I couldn't
because it catches you off guard.
Even control it.
100% catches you off guard.
Ned, number 2.
Okay, well, my number 2 was Mortal Folly.
Wow. Okay. We'll talk about that. Can we talk about that in a second? Because that's my number one.
I figured that was your number one because I know as a new watcher of Adventure Time, the first episode to get into something kind of dark and serious, and that episode deals with Mortal Folly deals with PB relationship, troubles with Ice King, the Lich being introduced, Finn being serious, hardcore magic. It's kind of got everything that why we are doing a podcast on this show. This is the first episode that has all that shit in it, you know?
Well, you just took my number one, Ned. But yes, that is everything you just said.
That's my number.
Totally
that's my number
with.
two. But the eyes beat it out just because I'm watching back through it and I'm like, I could watch.
Well, I just said you took all my reasons for why it was number one.
Oh damn! I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know,
it's my number one. Let me talk about it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So, what is your number two?
My number two is It Came from the Nightosphere.
Okay,
is that not on your top five?
No, that was my number five.
That was your number five.
That was my.
You're
number
wild,
five.
Dude. You're wild.
Yeah, well, but everything we just talked about with Chamber, Frozen Blades, Death and Bloom, Mortal Folly were before Nightosphere.
Well, maybe I can convince you. So It Came from the Nightosphere, great episode. We talked about how it got an award for how great it freaking is.
Yeah, it did get an award.
I think it's Adventure Time at its best, to be entirely honest. It's taking a very complex situation, the parent-child relationship, with high emotions and situational stakes, and resolving it with such a goofy yet reasonable way. It's resolved by Finn playing the song, this like crazy power that's about to go around all of the Candy Kingdom and and just suck up souls. And Finn resolves the issue by just playing a silly song about eating fries. You know, like that is quintessential Adventure Time, in my opinion, as someone who has never seen the show before and is very deep in the 2 seasons. It feels like taking these crazy deep things and just being like, oh, here's a funny thing, but also it kind of makes sense, you know?
So
that's the number one reason.
It's Marceline development too. It's like we've just gotten that she's kind of an asshole and she's kind of a prankster and she's kind of a best friend and a worst friend all at the same time. And this is a reason that we kind of get why she's edgy. You know, she's got a dad that's kind of distant and, you know, arm's length away kind of dad where she wants him to love her, but the reason why she is the way she is that she's always kind of seeking that love, and she's going to be violent and angsty until she gets that love, you know?
Yeah. Well, also,
so I get
I'm trying to convince you. Hold on. I got more, Ned. Come on.
Okay.
The canonical aspect of it as well as what you're saying with Marceline, with her dad, Hudson Abendeer. We got some hints at Gunter being this like all-knowing evil power that Hudson Abendeer is kind of freaked out about, you know, is like, give me your soul, and, you know, Gunter won't give it to him. And then also, I think this episode expresses and shows kind of like The Eyes, how there's a creepy to humor balance that Adventure Time has a lot of times that a lot of kid shows in that time period don't really mess around with. There's a lot of animation in Adventure Time that could be really freaky or psychedelic or weird or creepy. Like this episode does all of that all in one episode. And it was my number one for a long time, but I think my mind was just blown by the Mortal Folly.
Yeah. I mean,
it came from the Nightosphere. Fantastic.
It does. I mean, that's a great thing to think about season 2 is that it starts and ends on a very gruesome vibe. Because I would say even It Came from the Nightosphere is like more gruesome and grody than Mortal Recoil. Like, the Hudson Abendeer, like head in the mouth, like popping out, eating souls, like strip your body off, like. Obviously, we don't even see when he turns to the Ice King in that episode and like flashes his face, and that Ice King's like, "All right, I'm out of here." Like, but we're coming on. We do have to think about the concept of people finishing this, finishing season 1, and then coming into season 2, finishing with the Gut Grinder, which was like a very innocent, low key episode, and coming into this had to be somewhat of a TV shocker. Like, absolutely.
I wonder how much time was separated between the two. I don't think Gut Grinder is really a good season 1 ending episode at all.
It's not. It's not. Mike made our podcast a good episode, but the episode itself was not a good season. Same thing with season 2. Heat Signature was not a bad episode, but not a good season 2 ender. You know.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't know. It probably was a shock, but I rewatched It Came from the Nightosphere a couple times, and every time I watched it, I was enjoying, all these little bits, all the puns, the jokes that happen. Hudson Abadir being just such an interesting character and freaking people out and getting like joy out of it, and yeah, I don't know.
But
Great.
no,
And Marceline fights her dad in like a kung fu battle sort of a thing.
It's the first, and now I'm really thinking about it now, and I probably should have pushed it at least above Chamber of Frozen Blades, I think. But it does introduce the first aspect of the show where it is a relationship struggle or a relationship qualm between a parent and their children,
Mm-hmm.
and that's such a theme of the show. Finn and his dad, Jake and his parents, Finn and Jake's parents, like BMO and BMO's parents.
Oh, yeah.
It is a constant theme through the show of who I am is developed by where I came from, and the self-realization of that, and the once you do self-realize, the self-independence from that, and how do I go on with my life and develop beyond that. And this one is the Marcy. Obviously, she hates that her dad is either the way he is or what he does. There is some sort of barrier, and he's just off in his own freaking world. And it takes her going, "You did this one thing that hurt me," and him going, "I never thought about it, but I'm glad you said it." And it's the first real heartstring moment that the show plucks at, I feel like. So
to be entirely honest, I think once we get deeper into Adventure Time and the more seasons go by, if we ever do a entire show like best of list, I think It Came from the Nightosphere honestly will be on that list. And I don't think Mortal Folly will.
No.
I think it's possible that this Mortal Folly it's my number one because it is such a crazy it's like what I've been looking for this whole time.
Yes, it's what you wanted this whole time.
But It Came from the Nightosphere is a beautiful episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
It Came from the Nightosphere just through and through. The entire episode is just really, really fantastic.
Yeah. And I feel like you hit the hammer on the head right there, is that right now you want the lore of Adventure Time. You want the Lich destroyed the world. We're getting, why is the world the way it is? Why are people changed? Why is there a hole chunked out of the side of the world? And the Lich answers those questions. When we finish the show, you'll realize the episodes that develop the characters more or get you closer with the characters are the ones that get you. But I know what you mean, though. Like episode or season 3, once we get some lore, you'll be like, okay, those are going to be my favorite episodes for now, for sure. Cool. I can tell you though, for season 3, like Lemon Grab's going to be one of my favorite episodes, and I know you're so excited for that. I know you're excited for that one.
Well, that actually gets right into my next question for you. And Lemon Grab, I guess, is a great example of this. Are there any other new characters you can tease, or old ones that are going to come back and stand out in any major ways?
Yeah, I do have some notes on next season. We do get a return of Susan Strong. So cool. that is coming next season. We don't have to wait. There is an episode 17. It is a really cool episode where there is nothing that's happening except for with a snow golem and a wolf, and it got nominated for an Emmy. And it is one of the only Adventure Time episodes that really tugs at your heartstrings, and it's not about any canon characters at all. And it's such a side episode, but it's so good. And I forget that it comes out of season 3, and it's so good. We get our first Fiona and Cake our first gender flipped Adventure Time universe.
Oh, that's going to be exciting.
That comes next season, so that's really great.
I really have no clue what that even is going to be like, that's one of the craziest things I've avoided so far.
It's a good thing to avoid because there's some answers. Like you get an answer, and then you get a question, and then you get an answer, and then you get a question, and they really never answer the Fiona and Cake debacle in Adventure Time. It's very ambiguous.
Well,
so
it's kind
of annoying, but it's kind of fun at the same time.
I know we've discussed, there's been we haven't talked about this in like a production meeting yet, but there might be some fun things that we do with that episode. I don't want to spoil anything for travelers if it does or doesn't happen, but it could be really cool. We'll see, man. I'm excited if it happens. I'm excited for that episode.
Yes. We've had some ideas for many a time.
Yeah. Can we
season 3?
Yes.
No, I do. I got a lot of notes on this, man.
Oh, dude, keep going. I was going to be like, all right, we get into lessons. We're deep in. Y'all are around. Y'all know how we do this review episode. It's kind of like a loosey-goosey kind of a vibe.
I mean, like,
let's keep going.
Like I said, I didn't prep over enough for this episode because I know as soon as I started talking with Russell about it, I'd be like, we could go for probably another hour. We won't do that to you guys because we're at an hour, 10 minutes right now?
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Louise. But I would have spent more time on each episode, I think, if we were really, I was trying to go through those, Yeah. We already talked about them.
We gave everybody 45 minutes on each episode. They don't got to do that.
Yeah.
We get a lot more magic, powers, and villains next season. And I say magic just because, again, there's more types of magic, more types of powers that we get to get introduced to, and I think that's fun. There's a little bit more dark themes. There's a little bit more like serious moments, the serious moments of life and death, and the serious moments of like coming up against something where you might meet your end. You might meet something that's truly more powerful than you. A lot more than season 1. We get that a lot in season 3. And then more just like, I feel like canon stuff is big in season 3. A lot of like what you said, where everything we're kind of visiting in season 3, there's not as many introductions.
Good. Cool.
It includes every episode. If there is new people, it usually includes other characters that we're already familiar with, so it's building the lore. And I think that's why you're going to really like this next season, because it's a continual build.
I know it's going to take a minute for the Lich to come back. Is that in this next season?
It is. It's season 4. It's not this season. It's
That's fair. I think that's probably smart by the writers. Honestly,
we got a hot minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Because when they bring the Lich back, it really opens up a really, really wide Adventure Time universe, like expanding it dramatically. And I don't even know if they had it planned, but yeah, season 3, it gets a little bit more about Finn and Jake and the characters we have. And once the Lich comes back, it gets very like broad universe. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Do some fans not like that?
No, I'm pretty sure all the fans love that.
Okay.
Cool. No, all the fans love.
It just seems like they took a bold choice from what you're saying. They took a chance and they were like, we'll see what they think.
Once we get to Lich, Prismo, Cosmic Owl, Multiverse, Fin Sword, it gets.
We're due for a Cosmic Owl.
Shit hits the fan. We are due for a Cosmic Owl at this point. You're right.
They only had him in one episode in season 1. I mean, it was like a split second. It seemed like too important of a character.
Russell, I feel like
glide by.
I feel like you just encouraged me to make a drink called the Cosmic Owl. Because
sounds like a great drink.
Because it means that you always want one. You're like, I'm always on the hunt for a Cosmic Owl dream. Oh,
I love that.
Yeah,
that'll be.
I'll make a drink.
Yeah, make a drink, create your own drink, and then you can post it on our Instagram. And we'll use the hashtag NEA podcast, and y'all can always use hashtag NEA podcast to I don't know, share things on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, and we'll try and keep up with that hashtag some. But
yeah, segue that into how all of these lovely people can follow us.
I'll do that, and then after that we'll do lessons and we'll head out.
No, I was about to say I was ending the episode here, but I forgot we had lessons. I have no lessons for the season on the top of my head, but
I chose my favorite lessons. Is kind of what I did of the season. I went through. I picked my favorites, and I'm just gonna say them real fast. Start a club. Big monsters have big buttholes. Your best friend is a murderer. You can't trust anyone. Every fig has a wasp. Don't spank your little goblin cheese. Don't spank your little goblins. And 1 in 3 beans is evil. That's just science. Those are my favorite lessons I learned this season.
I love that. I love how you pulled out the craziest shit right there.
Those were my lessons. I don't know. Go back and watch the episodes.
Oh, I should. Oh, I wish you had told me you were doing that. I would have pulled out the randomest shit I said too, but I didn't.
I can't believe every fig has a wasp. That still blows my mind.
No, do you want me to do like the true Ned lesson and get like real deep with it?
If you need to.
I can
Are you being called? Tell me what you learned specifically and how it's going to apply to you. I'm going to leave you accountable.
I learned never stop adventuring with your friends, because this season, and I can tell all of our listeners out there, we dealt with something we've never dealt with it before, and we moved cities, and we got our whole podcast together. We got the plan. We got our shit together. And this whole year, we literally dealt with not going to a studio, not being with DJ Cowboy Hat, not doing any of that stuff. And we hardly skipped a beat. And I'd say just like literally keep adventuring with your friends and do what it takes to adventure with your friends, because Russell and I over here, we literally do this every week. And every time I've done a jump to a city or a move or a transition, you lose touch with people. But like literally we sit here and we text all week, and we have at least an hour and 16-minute long conversation at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So keep adventuring. And that's literally me and Russell's friendship is going to be a Jake and Finn friendship, because we just adventure every week. Yeah. And that's my lesson.
Oh man. In the feels.
Don't get all teary on me.
Well, let me add a fun, emotional me and you lesson then.
Yeah, throw it in there.
Ned's got poison ivy on his butt.
I do have poison ivy on my butt right now.
Oh, and also he's a great friend, and love that we're doing this podcast. No, I do. It's been great. Thank you guys, listeners. Wow, freaking 2 seasons. Ned,
2 seasons.
What a co-host! Couldn't ask for a better co-host for an Adventure Time podcast. I've spent the last year talking about a cartoon that I refused to watch for 4 or 5 years.
For many years.
Very weird for me. But it's been fun. I'm really enjoying this show. I think my updated, or as far as like last special, you kind of asked where I'm at with it. And I think I'm at a similar spot. I'm really enjoying it. It's not higher than Avatar: The Last Airbender or one of those cartoons from like when that is very nostalgic for me. But I am really enjoying this journey and this adventure and traveling through it. And I gotta say, I'm super excited for the next couple of seasons and just see where it goes. If we ever hit a season or an episode that I don't like, I'll let y'all know. I mean, certainly I'm not going to hold back on it, but I'm hoping it keeps impressing me, and I hope I can continue to enjoy this with everybody. And
good.
I want y'all to enjoy it with us. And ways you can do that are getting more involved and hanging out and discussing things on Instagram at Never Ending Adventure Podcast. I respond, or Ned responds to nearly at the moment, because it's manageable, to almost every comment that's like, hey, have y'all seen this or whatever. People are tagging us in posts all the time. And I love it, man. TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. There is a Twitter. I do it in bursts. Email us your thoughts, your opinions.
We're
getting into season 3.
We can't do everything.
No, certainly not.
We can't do all of the socials.
Hit us up, man. Season 3 is coming up. I want your thoughts on specific episodes. Put it in the subject line and be like, y'all need to either talk about this or here's what I think. I'd love to get more of the Traveler's Log on this podcast, nea.travelerslog@gmail.com. YouTube us, just subscribe just for the heck of it. It just helps us. And you can watch it there if you want. One day we'll have a visual element, possibly, if we ever make money and can afford cameras of this podcast.
We got cameras. They just look a little poopy.
Yeah, I'm getting a new phone. Maybe that'll cause us to try it.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about getting a new webcam anyway, and we'll see. If we add the video element, we will post a raw
trial
video. We'll post raw video podcast on YouTube, and then we'll let our actual podcast release be what DJ Cowboy Hat edits.
Oh yeah, that would help.
Through the filters, but we can post raw video and be like, oh, here's like the moment that like I had to go pee in the background, like
yeah. Yeah, I kind of like that. That could be really fun. And just have we would just need a good thumbnail. But yeah, also, I'm sure we still have stickers. And if we don't have stickers and you just really want one, man, send us a screenshot of your review and from Apple Podcasts, and we'll try and get y'all a sticker as soon as we can. We've got some really great reviews, and this has been like, the fact that we get like 10 more or 20 more reviews from before we did this sticker thing makes me really happy. So I can't wait to get these travelers their stickers.
Yeah, we got some quotes out, and we are waiting for the quotes in production of the stickers as we speak right now.
Cool. So hopefully we'll have it by the time this episode comes out. But also, just about every Tuesday, you know where to find us. And I guess next week will be a break, but we'll be back the following Tuesday.
We will not release one next week, so everybody hold tight to their britches. Just calm down. We're coming out with more. I know you want to listen to us every week, but we got to take a breather because we have been doing this consistently, and we have jobs, and we have wives and girlfriends, and I'm just a boy. I can't do this all the time. So we do need a quick breather to catch up and get a little bit ahead.
Man. I'm just an old man.
In the basement. I can't believe, honestly, also, we did this whole episode. We did an hour 20, longest episode we've done. Best season review. I think we freaking crushed this season review. At an hour and 20 minutes. And with no ad.
No ad.
Look at that.
I don't know what that voice was. I was trying to get back to the old man, but I'm losing it. I can't talk anymore.
I'm losing it. I'm done.
Y'all,
I'm tired.
I'll see y'all next season.
Oh, you know
forever.
I love the Jew guy. You are the best.